Something in you paused today before you had a reason for it. Not a dramatic pause, not a big one, just a small, easy-to-miss one. Mid-sentence, mid-scroll, mid-step out the door. A half-second where your body clearly registered something before your mind had caught up enough to explain what it was. If you notice that pause instead of brushing past it, this is for you. Not because you're wired differently in some vague, unprovable way, but because there's an actual, measurable reason your body keeps arriving at things before your conscious mind does. And today happens to be an unusually literal example of that, both in your own nervous system and in the sky, sitting quietly above you right now. There's a reason a title like this one is the one you clicked on instead of scrolling straight past it. It isn't because you needed convincing that something's happening. Some part of you already suspected that much before you tapped play. It's because you wanted to know you weren't the only one noticing it, and maybe wanted a little language for something you couldn't quite put into words yet. That instinct, noticing before you can explain, is what the rest of this is actually about. Here's what almost nobody tells you outright. Your brain starts building a decision before you're aware you've made one. Researchers have watched this happen in real time, decades ago and again more recently with better tools. Long before someone consciously feels they've decided to move, a slow build-up of electrical activity appears in the brain's motor regions, measurable on an EEG, present well before the person reports feeling ready to act. In one well-known set of experiments, that build-up started around half a second before the movement itself, while the conscious sense of "now I've decided" showed up only a fraction of that time before the hand actually moved. In a later version of the same research, using brain scans instead of scalp electrodes, scientists could tell which of two choices a person was about to make several seconds, in some trials close to 10, before that person felt sure they'd chosen anything at all. Nobody handed them a memo. Nobody announced it. Their own brain simply started building the choice quietly in the background, while the version of them that talks was still under the impression that nothing had happened yet. 10 seconds doesn't sound like much until you sit with it. 10 seconds is enough time to read this sentence twice, maybe 3 times, and somewhere in that window, something in you had already leaned one way, while the part of you that talks, the part narrating "I chose this and here's why," was still catching up to explain a decision that in some sense had already begun. Hold on to that thought, because the sky is doing almost exactly the same thing to you today, and it explains a lot about why today might feel like it's building towards something without any clear official announcement to point to. Somewhere in Leo, Mercury has spent the last several days closing the distance to Jupiter. It isn't exact yet. The two are still separated by less than a degree, a gap so small that it'll close by tomorrow morning, almost to the minute, and an astronomer could tell you that down to the second if you asked. But not exact yet doesn't mean not real yet. An aspect that's still closing is already active. You've probably noticed your own thinking getting a little bigger over the past day or so, more willing to consider the version of your life you usually file under "someday," a little less interested in staying small just to feel safe. That's Mercury reaching for Jupiter. The exact moment lands tomorrow morning. The felt shift got there first. That's the pattern worth sitting with today, in the sky and in your own skull. The felt shift always arrives before the official one. Not because timing is random or manufactured, but because a process has to be underway before it can complete. And you are provably capable of sensing a process while it's still underway, long before anyone hands you proof that it's finished. At the same time, Mercury has just opened a second connection, this one reaching towards Saturn, sitting in Aries. That link only started forming a few hours ago. It won't lock into its exact angle for a few more days yet. So if the expansiveness from Mercury meeting Jupiter has felt a little unfocused today, big, energizing ideas with nowhere obvious to land, that tracks. The container for the idea simply isn't built yet. Saturn's role here is to eventually hand that expansion a shape, a deadline, a next physical step, a place to actually put it down. Saturn has already started reaching toward Mercury. It just hasn't arrived. You're allowed to have an idea before you have a plan for it. Today is built for the idea. The plan comes later, and that's not a failure of today. That's just correct sequencing. This is usually the exact point where people talk themselves out of something real because it doesn't arrive already organized. An idea shows up loud and a little formless, and instead of setting it somewhere safe until its structure catches up, it gets dismissed for not being practical yet, as if practicality was ever supposed to arrive first. It doesn't in the sky, and it doesn't in you either. Saturn is already reaching. Give the idea a few more days before you decide it wasn't worth having. Underneath both of those, there's a slower, bigger version of the same story playing out. Jupiter and Saturn themselves are inching toward an alignment of their own, a trine that won't go exact for another couple of weeks yet. This is only the first of 3 times they'll form this exact angle across the year, because when two outer, slow-moving planets build toward each other, they tend to do it in stages rather than one clean pass, closing in, appearing to pull back as one of them slows or reverses, then closing in again, until it finally locks for good. Right now, today, it's only just come into range for the very first time. If there's a sense today of something worth building, not urgently, not by tonight, but steadily, the way you'd lay a foundation for a house whose finished shape you can't fully picture yet. That's not you getting ahead of yourself. That's an accurate read of something that has provably only just begun. It took the sky 3 separate attempts to fully commit to this alignment. You're allowed more than one attempt at whatever you're quietly building to. It isn't a flaw in the process. Outer planets move slowly enough and occasionally appear to double back on themselves from where we stand, that a single clean approach is the exception rather than the rule. 3 tries isn't Jupiter and Saturn struggling to align. It's what committing to something real actually tends to look like, paced out. And then there's the moon, doing almost the opposite of everything above. It's moving through Virgo right now, without making any major connection to anything else. What astrologers call void, of course. It isn't an ominous placement, whatever the more dramatic corners of the internet might tell you. It's closer to a quiet stretch of hallway between 2 rooms. Nothing major is supposed to happen while you're standing in it. The moon slipped into this stretch yesterday afternoon and won't make its next real connection until tomorrow morning, when it finally crosses into Libra. Which means today, the only things actually in motion astrologically are the quiet ones: Mercury toward Jupiter, Mercury toward Saturn, Jupiter towards Saturn, all of it happening underneath the surface. None of it finished. Nothing is being announced today. Everything is being built today. Underneath all 3 of those moving pieces, the sun is still holding its position in Leo, the way it has for the past few weeks, and will keep doing for another week or so yet before it moves on. It's easy to overlook the sun precisely because it isn't the thing making a new move today. It's the steady light Everything else is happening under. Mercury's reach toward Jupiter, its new connection to Saturn, Jupiter's own slow lean toward Saturn, none of it is happening in the dark. There's a difference between a shift that arrives out of nowhere and one that's been building in full daylight the entire time, visible if you'd thought to look. This is the second kind. Put those two truths side by side. What your brain does in the moments before a decision, and what the sky is doing in the days before an aspect goes exact. And the shape is identical. Preparation is not the same event as confirmation. They are two different moments, sometimes seconds apart, sometimes weeks apart. And the gap between them is exactly where you're standing right now, whether you realized it or not. It's worth being precise about what that gap actually is, because it's easy to romanticize it into something mystical when it's really something closer to ordinary. It isn't a portal. It isn't a sign that you're being uniquely spoken to by the universe. It's just the honest lag between a real process starting and that same process becoming visible enough to point at. Every brain has it. Every sky has it. The only variable is whether you happen to be paying attention during the specific stretch of time when it's unusually easy to notice. And today, for reasons that have nothing to do with luck and everything to do with three separate things quietly moving at once, it is. Think about how often this plays out in ordinary moments, completely apart from any of this. You've started composing a reply before you'd even finished reading the message. You've reached for your keys before consciously thinking, "I need my keys." You felt your shoulders climb toward your ears a full minute before you could name what you were worried about. You've said "wait" out loud before you actually knew what you were waiting for. You've teared up at something before you'd worked out which feeling it was. You've known, walking into a room, that something had shifted between two people before either of them said a single word about it, and you couldn't have explained how you knew even if someone had asked you to. None of that is you being scattered or overly sensitive or making things up. That's a body doing exactly what bodies are built to do, registering and beginning to respond to something before the narrating part of your mind has finished assembling a sentence about it. Most days, you don't notice this gap because most days, nothing lines up cleanly enough to make it visible. Today, three separate processes happen to be visibly mid-motion at once, an idea expanding before it has a container reaching before it's arrived, and a bigger structural alignment only just coming into range for the first of three tries. All of it is unfinished. All of it is real. If you felt a little keyed up today without an obvious reason, or caught yourself already forming an opinion about something before you'd consciously finished thinking it through, that's not static, and it's not you overreacting. That's your own version of a readiness potential, so to speak, running exactly on schedule, just ahead of the part of you that prefers to have a tidy explanation ready before it'll admit anything is happening at all. Here's the part worth sitting with a little longer, because it's easy to rush past on the way to a tidier conclusion. In that brain scan research, the prediction wasn't perfect. Scientists could tell which choice someone was leaning toward well before the person felt sure of it. But only about 6 times out of 10, not 10 times out of 10, the signal was real. It just wasn't total certainty, and it never claimed to be. And that's actually the more useful takeaway than the brain has already decided everything and you're just watching. A real signal doesn't need to be 100% certain to be worth trusting. It needs to be more accurate than chance, present early, and consistent enough to notice more than once. That's a much lower bar than the one most people quietly hold themselves to before they'll admit, even privately, "I think I already know what I want here. And there's a real cost to waiting for that bar to clear before you'll trust yourself. Not a dramatic one. Nobody's timeline collapses because they doubted a hunch for a week. But ideas that show up early and go unrecorded have a habit of not showing up again in quite the same shape. You don't need to chase every half-formed thought like it's urgent. You just need to stop requiring it to already be fully formed before you'll admit you had it. Today asks something similar of you. You don't need the exact degree, the fully locked aspect, or Jupiter and Saturn's third and final pass to already trust what you're sensing. The idea forming under Mercury and Jupiter doesn't need a finished plan attached to it yet to be worth writing down somewhere before it fades. The next step Saturn is quietly assembling doesn't need to be visible yet for you to start clearing space for it. And the bigger structure Jupiter and Saturn are building toward doesn't need to be exact for another few weeks for you to lay the first piece of it today, knowing full well it might take more than one pass to get right, because even the sky itself needed 3. If you want something practical to do with all of this, rather than just feel it and let it pass, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a plan today. You need a container small enough to hold a half-formed thought until it's ready to be a real one. That might mean opening a blank note on your phone and typing out whatever crossed your mind earlier, even if it doesn't fully make sense yet. It might mean a 30-second voice memo to yourself, recorded in the same tone you'd use with a friend. It might mean telling one person you trust, out loud, "Something's been sitting with me today, and I don't have the full shape of it yet." Not because they need to solve it, but because saying it out loud is often how a felt thing starts becoming a nameable one. None of that requires certainty. It only requires catching the signal before you talk yourself out of having noticed it in the first place. The moon being void doesn't cancel any of that either. If anything, it's giving you permission to hold all of it without needing to act on a single piece of it today. Void moon stretches aren't built for starting something new and clean. They're built for the in-between, noticing, gathering, letting an idea sit somewhere safe until the sky itself is ready to help you build a proper container for it. If you don't feel like launching anything today, that isn't avoidance, and it isn't you falling behind. That's accurate. Nothing today is asking to be finished. Everything today is asking to be noticed and kept somewhere you won't lose it. Think of today less like a starting line and more like the quiet room backstage before one. The moon isn't holding you back from anything. It's simply agreeing that nothing needs to walk out on stage just yet. So if you paused earlier, mid-sentence, mid-scroll, mid-step out the door, and couldn't immediately say why, you can stop trying to force a tidy explanation for it right this second. You weren't imagining a shift that hasn't happened yet. You were sensing one that's already underway, the same way a brain registers a choice before it has language for it, and the same way an aspect is active well before it technically becomes exact. The proof always catches up eventually. It just isn't required for the signal to be real in the meantime. Today, you don't need the proof yet. You already have the signal, and the signal came first. It almost always does. If any part of this described something you felt today before you had the words ready for it, say so in the comments. What it was, and roughly when it hit. It genuinely helps to know you weren't the only one clocking it, and reading through them afterward tends to be its own small proof that this wasn't just one person's imagination, a whole comment section of people who all paused at roughly the same unremarkable moment in an otherwise ordinary day. And if you'd like more of this kind of grounded, real sky reading without the vague guesswork some corners of this space lean on, stay close and subscribe. There's more coming as these placements keep shifting through the rest of the month. You don't need anyone's permission to trust what you already felt today. Nothing about any of this required you to have proof first, or a finished plan first, or even the right words first. It only required you to notice, which, if you're still here, you already did. Tomorrow, one of these pieces goes exact. In a few more days, another one does. By the end of the month, the biggest one finally locks into place. None of that needs to happen before today counts. Today already counted. The moment you paused and let yourself wonder why. You get to decide what you do with it from here, on your own timeline, not the one this video or anyone else hands you. And that part, what comes next, is entirely yours.